Oh, really?
Vampire! We take your candy!
Count Dracula.
I am Dracula. And I bid you welcome, Mr. Hunt, to my house. Come in.
Our first award goes to the vampire for most blood drained in a single evening.
The strength of the vampire is that people will not believe in him.
Good evening, YouTube. You know what? You guys are looking really good tonight. I don't know what you did, but you look really good. Okay, so it is time to record this week's episode. I'm not gonna lie, this is the last minute. So you'll see I'm in my comfy clothes because I will be going straight from recording into editing. So I will be uploading this under the gun. You think I would have learned, but clearly not. So what have I done to prepare this evening? Okay. So one daughter is at work. One is upstairs, just hanging out, doing her own thing. The dog is at my feet, chewing on a bone. The cat is sleeping somewhere. The heat has been turned off. So I feel good about this one. I feel like we're going to get right through it. We're not going to have any problems. It's going to be a quick one tonight so then I can go right into editing. Rewatching my other video, the last one, I have got to stop saying, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. We shall see. I have already tested the mic. I have my title music up and ready to go. So we're going to jump right in because like I said, I've waited to the last minute, so we need to go ahead and get this done. Here we go. Good evening, my fellow vampire lovers. The sun is going down, and you know what that means. It's time for me to record another episode of my podcast, The Beautiful Dead. As always, I am your host, Lena Nazari. Go to lenanazari.com. It's really the easiest way to find me. You'll see links to social media. You'll see a contact form. My email is lena@lenanazari.com. You can also see a way to sign up for my street team if you'd like to get more involved. Sign up for my Fanged family if you would like exclusive updates from moi, as well as, I haven't talked about this in a while, appearances. I am looking at a couple of appearances for this fall. Like I told everybody, I'm taking a break this spring because I have a daughter who is graduating. So I want to be available for that, but I start right back up in June and it looks like it's going to be a busy summer and I'm already looking at fall spooky season appearances. So go check that out. If you join my Fanged family, then you actually get notified the second I book an appearance, so you're the first to hear about it. Haven't talked about this in a while. The third book. Anyone who's been following my journey knows that I've been trying to get an agent so that I don't have to independently publish the end of the series. However, it is now February. I've been at this for a few months. And so many people have been asking for the third book that I'm starting to think that maybe I should go ahead and independently publish it. Get the 3 out so people know the ending and they can have some kind of closure. And then I will work on growing the books through appearances and whatnot, all the work, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes. Good news for anyone who's been waiting for the third book. I think I might just go ahead and independently publish it. So if you want to see the cover before anyone else, if you want to know exactly when it's going to come out, when I sign the contract, then you have to join my Fanged family because they hear about it first. For anybody who doesn't know, the first one is Bite Shift, the second one is Code Blood, and the third one is Undead Consequence. So I will let you know as things are happening, but again, Unless you want to wait to see it on YouTube or hear it on the podcast, you need to join my Fanged family. It's been a crazy week. I have been picking up at the hospital extra shifts. I think that's how I'm going to go ahead and independently publish this third book. So as rough as the hospital is right now, it's all for a purpose. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity. However, it has been a little nutty. That is why I'm waiting to the last second to record this, because let me tell you, these shifts have been wiping me out. I also was very, very responsible with my first day off Saturday. I did all these adult things. I'm so proud of myself. I got my car inspected. I got the oil changed. I dropped my taxes off at the accountant. I went and got groceries for the humans that live with me upstairs that need to eat. I feel very accomplished. So getting this recorded and edited, I will feel very accomplished. Why don't we just go ahead and jump into this? I feel very good about this. I've already told the YouTube people, but those of you listening on the podcast, I feel good about this one. This is going to be a quick one. I'm excited for this one. It is a very little known movie. However, it is one I have known about for a long time. Not to brag, but I do know about some pretty obscure ones. For those of you who have already seen it, you're thinking like, what do you mean obscure? Trust me, we know about it because we're cool, but a lot of people do not know about this movie. I'm pretty excited to talk about this one. And this is Lair of the White Worm. For those of you who, for whatever reason, jumped into the podcast on this episode, welcome. And spoiler alerts, I'm going to ruin everything. I'm going to tell you who hooks up with who kills who, how they die, everything. We like to start this out by doing a quick summary. So for those of you who have not seen the movie and have no desire to see the movie, I'm going to go ahead and read a quick summary for you so you know what the heck I am talking about when I get into my review. I have water with me because, again, I'm being responsible today and drinking water. Let's do this. Angus Flint is a Scottish archaeology student excavating the site of a convent at Derbyshire bed and breakfast run by the Trent sisters, Mary and Eve. He unearths an unusual skull that appears to be that of a large snake. Angus believes it may be connected to the local legend of the Dampton Worm, a mythical snake-like creature from ages past, said to have been slain in Stonebridge Cavern by John Dampton, an ancestor of the current lord of the manor, James Dampton. When a pocket watch is discovered in Stonebridge Cavern, James comes to believe that the Dampton Worm may be more than a legend. The watch belonged to the Trent sisters' father, who disappeared a year earlier near Temple House, the stately home of the beautiful and seductive Lady Sylvia Marsh. The enigmatic Lady Sylvia is revealed to be, in fact, an immortal priestess to the ancient snake god Dianan. She surreptitiously enters the bed and breakfast and steals the snake's skull before baring fangs and spitting venom on a crucifix hanging on the wall. Naughty. Eve later touches the crucifix, absorbing some of the venom, and is disturbed by the surreal vision involving a crucified Jesus being encircled by a giant serpent, while a group of surrounding nuns are SA'd by Roman soldiers. Lady Sylvia picks up a young male hitchhiker and brings him to Temple House, where she seduces him before paralyzing him with snake venom and kills him. James visits Temple House moments later and is invited in by Lady Sylvia for a drink. She tells James she is terrified of snakes and the Dampton Worm legend. That night, James has a surreal nightmare in which he boards a plane with Eve and Lady Sylvia acting as flight attendants. In the morning, James investigates the mountainous Stonebridge Cavern near Temple House with Angus, Eve, and Mary. When Eve decides to return to the bed and breakfast before the others, she is abducted in the woods by Lady Sylvia, who intends to offer her as the latest in a long line of human sacrifices to her snake god. James correctly theorizes that a giant snake roams the caves that connects Temple House with Stonebridge Cavern. Using large speakers, James projects Turkish music from his residence in an attempt to charm the serpent, invoking Lady Sylvia to visit him. Meanwhile, Angus and Mary break into Temple House where they find Eve and Mary's mother, Dorothy, in a trance-like state. Dorothy suddenly bares fangs and bites Mary's neck before fleeing, triggering a hallucinatory vision in her. But Angus manages to extract the venom. Shortly after, Dorothy enters James's manor and bites the neck of his butler, Peters, before James bisects her with a sword. In this scene, he slices her in half. It's incredible. At dawn, police officer Ernie arrives at the bed and breakfast, summoned by James's phone call. Mary accompanies Ernie, believing that they are headed to the police station, but Ernie reveals that they are driving back to Temple House to investigate the events that occurred the night before. And upon arrival, Eve discovers that Ernie has been bitten and is under the serpent's spell. Angus, using bagpipes, lures Ernie away and kills him as Eve flees into the subterranean space beneath Temple House. Angus follows and is bitten and incapacitated by Lady Sylvia, who appears with a blue tinge and has morphed into a partial serpent form in her lair. Mary is bound and watches as Lady Sylvia prepares to sacrifice Eve to Dianan, who awaits at the bottom of a pit. Angus manages to thwart the sacrifice by pushing Lady Sylvia into the hole, where Dianan consumes her before detonating the giant serpent with their grenade. All the while, James leads a crew to investigate stone-rich caverns from above the lair. Angus uses an anti-venom serum he acquired earlier from a local hospital to prevent Lady Sylvia's bite from afflicting him. After Eve and Mary are taken to the hospital for evaluation, Angus visits with James. Their meeting is interrupted by a phone call from a lab technician at the hospital who informs Angus that a mistake has been made. The anti-venom serum he received is actually just an arthritis drug. Angus is shocked as he realizes he has now been damned to carry on the curse of the serpent. Moments later, Angus accepts James's invitation for a lunch celebration, and in the car, Angus sinisterly smiles before revealing the bite wound on his leg. All right, let's break it down. The word vampirism is not used until an hour and 10 minutes in. I can already hear people saying, what does the snake and the goddess and everything have to do with vampires? So this movie pops up on a great deal of best vampire movies of all times lists. A lot of people call this a vampire movie. She feeds on blood, she has fangs, she lives forever. I'm not sure, this is a whole different discussion to have someday. I'm not sure exactly what makes for a vampire. However, this falls under vampire films. I believe it is a vampire. You can go ahead and argue with me, but this is my podcast, so we are calling this a vampire film. And an hour and 10 minutes in, they do use the word vampirism. Interesting trivia. So Tilda Swinton was originally Lady Sylvia, and you know that she goes on to play Eve in Only Lovers Left Alive, as well as having a lovely cameo in What We Do in the Shadows as Eve. There are no vampiric crossovers. We don't too often see that. We do see it, but more than not, we tend to see some vampire crossovers, but not in this one. I hear tinkling. Juliet? She's hovering in the background. So YouTube, you're going to get to see me do this. Oh, I'm trying to get the collar off of her, but she's running away from me. Can you come here? Come on. Come on. All right. Her collar is off, so we won't hear that anymore. And obviously, I will be editing this out of the audio version. Forgot to take the collar off. Oops. I thought I did so good, too. What is their relationship to humans? Humans in this world are merely food or sacrifice for these vampires. That is it. I don't foresee this vampire falling in love with a human or anything so romantic as that. She is out to either sacrifice you to Dianan or feed on you or turn you into a minion. That is it. Appearance. Until they vamp out, you would never know. They look exactly like humans. However, once they do vamp out, their eyes almost become reptilian. They get these very obvious fangs. And at the end, the lady, who I assume is some form of special vamp, is completely blue, like from head to toe. And I have to imagine, we can talk about this more a little bit later, but that's because she is sort of like a master vampire. Fangs. 2 very long, curved fangs. So imagine snake fangs. That is the type of fangs these vampires have. Blood. They do need blood. We do see Lady, I wrote down Lady Elaine. That's how you know that I was raised on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Lady Sylvia. I don't even know where I got all of this. Lady Sylvia, not Lady Elaine. We see her get this poor hitchhiker. He looks like a Boy Scout, an older Boy Scout, over 18, but he looks like a Boy Scout, and she does drink his blood. And when she bites him, we can talk about this more later, but there's like a venom that paralyzes him. Food. We never see the vampires eat food. However, we see Lady Sylvia drink alcohol multiple times. So clearly they can drink. Sunlight. These vampires do not care about the sun. They are out in the sun. They can be out anytime. Sleep. They can sleep wherever they want because they can be out in the sun. So they don't need to be in coffins or anything like that. Holy items. Eve is wearing a crucifix ring at some point when Lady Sylvia tries to mesmerize her. The power of the cross sort of helps her break this mesmerization. The film has very heavy religious themes. There is multiple scenes where you get to see this film has very heavy religious themes. We see flashbacks of the snake god wrapped around the crucifixion with Christ on it. We see nuns being assaulted. There are some religious themes in here. However, it seems like that was the only time we see the vampire react to something religious. She hisses at the crucifix, but she's able to walk right up to it. But the crucifix ring sort of breaks the trance. Rules. The only rule for these vampires in this world is worship Dianan. That seems to be the only rule. Worship the snake god. Offer him sacrifices. I don't know how often. I do know it has to be a virgin, but that you're supposed to bring sacrifice to Dianan. Another thing with these vampires is music. So twice we see Lady Sylvia be sort of entranced by music, and she does this sort of like undulating like snake thing. So you imagine the snake coming out of the basket when the snake charmer is playing his, flute or recorder or whatever it is. We do see that twice with her. We see it with the bagpipes and we see it with the Turkish music. So they can sort of be like charmed by music, but I think it has to be a specific type of music. Powers. She's immortal. That's a pretty good power. And she can mesmerize. Now, we never see super strength or super speed or anything like that. However, immortality and the ability to mind control humans, pretty solid powers. How are they made? So like I said, if you are bitten by this type of vampire, there is a venom in the fang. The venom turns you if the vampire does not kill you. So we see her bite the Boy Scout, drink from him, and then shove his head under the water and drown him while he is paralyzed. And then we see her bite the cop and bite James, and they both turn. So clearly, if you are not killed, the venom eventually turns you. We do not know, however, how she was made. I don't know if Dianan bit her and made her the first of her kind. The other thing is clearly the turn takes a while because James is bitten, then he blows up the house and everybody's celebrating and he's in the car with James, and there's enough time for, I said James was bitten, sorry, Angus was bitten. Angus is in the car with James. It's been hours, so clearly it takes time for the turn to happen. Heart beating or breathing, this is never addressed. We have no idea. How do they die? So we see Eve's mom is cut in half, literally cut in half. And one half is moving and the other half is moving. So that did not kill her. And then eventually she is beheaded. We see Angus blow up the manor with a lot of the turned vamps inside. He blows it up with a grenade. And Lady Sylvia is defeated by throwing her into the mouth of this giant snake. So clearly, he'll turn you. He'll let you bring him sacrifices, but then he'll eat you too. So not a loving God, I would say. Are they good or are they bad? These vampires are 100% bad. It's a shame because at the end we know that Angus is going to turn. So he will likely kill everybody or turn everybody. And that's a shame because I really like Angus in this movie. But I don't make up the rules. Once you're turned in this universe, you're the bad guy. Tropes I love and tropes I hate. I told you this would be a quick one. I'm zooming right through this. I love the idea, and I didn't at first, but I'm growing to love the idea of venom in the bite as a way to turn someone. We do see this in Twilight as well, where those vampires had a venom as well. I like the classic embrace. I like the idea of I bite and drink from you, and then you drink from me. I like that. That's my favorite. However, the venom thing, I don't hate it as much as I used to, okay? Tropes I hate. You guys know how I feel about the virgin trope. Thankfully, the virgin trope is really, it's something we kind of see in like 80s movies. That's sort of been phased out. However, we do see it. Not a big fan. And you know, I love my vampires to be nocturnal. I'm not a big fan of vampires being out in the sun. Personal opinion. Everybody's favorite. It's the ratings. How scary or evil are the vampires of Lair of the White Worm? I would not want to cross paths with this type of vampire. You know I love vampires. I just don't like this type of vampire. They will kill you. They will bury you before anyone even knows you are gone. You hope that they'll kill you before they bury you, but they might just paralyze you, put you under a bunch of ground, and then you are aware as you suffocate on dirt. The venom will paralyze you, so there's nothing you can do. Once they get those fangs into you, you are paralyzed. They can finish you off and you can't fight. Plus, they have this sort of religious zealousy that is terrifying to me. They are doing all of this for Diane, and she is a zealot through and through, absolutely a zealot. And something about zealousy and fervency is terrifying to me. It makes them extremely motivated, extremely focused, and there is no stopping them, and logic is not going to help you. I give Lady Sylvia an 8 out of 10 stakes to the heart for how scary or evil she is. I mean, she stood by and laughed while soldiers assaulted nuns. She loses points for being crippled by music. I mean, if I like get a Bose speaker and play some music, I can defeat her. So she does lose some points for that. And ultimately, she's eaten by her own god. So it's irony and also it's a weakness. So you lose a point there. But still, 8 out of 10. Girl, take it. Respect. How sexy or alluring is Lady Sylvia? She's gorgeous, okay? She is gorgeous. The lingerie that she's wearing while playing board games with this teenage boy, holy moly. She's got like these thigh-high leather boots with these big heels, yikes. But guess what? She's not giving it up, okay? It's all just a way to, it's just bait to get you in. She is not going to have sex with you, so don't get your hopes up. She's trying to kill you. She's like the peanut butter on a mousetrap. That's all she is. I give her 2 out of 10 unks for sexiness and allure. The men are not drawn to her. She's laying it on thick, pretty thick for James. James is not interested. He's being a gentleman. He's not interested at all. Even when she gets this Boy Scout into a bubble bath, he's more concerned. I mean, he's talking about his mom and the camp he's going to. Like, he doesn't seem intrigued at all. So clearly she doesn't have this like sexual pull about her. She just looks gorgeous. But again, A lot of things look great, but are deadly. What are my thoughts on this movie? I saw this on video when I was about, I want to say 12-ish. It was way before Hugh Grant. Oh, I didn't say this. Hugh Grant is in this movie. He plays James Dampton. It was way before he was a household name. When I first saw it, it was extremely confusing to me. However, it stuck with me. It stuck with me. It was always in my head. I've watched it multiple times over the years, again and again. And every time I watch it, it makes a little more sense. And this time it absolutely made sense to me. I completely understood what was happening. I wouldn't say this is a favorite film of mine. However, I have recommended it to people. I do see it on many, many films. Like, snobby movie critics love this movie. They think it's very interesting because it is different. It's not the usual vampire film that you're used to watching. If you've never watched it, it is absolutely worth a watch. It's an interesting take on vampirism. The acting is great. The camaraderie amongst the group of heroes is very charming. You do root for the humans in this one. I don't say that very often, but you root for the humans. You get really bummed out when you realize that Angus is probably going to turn and kill all his friends. It's a shame that there was never a sequel. It's a shame that there was not a bigger following for this. There's a little cult following out there. People who know it, but it is not very well known, and what a shame. I do hope that this is one of those movies that actors who are now famous, the guy who plays Angus is on Doctor Who and all this, I do hope this is not one of those films that they don't want to talk about because they're so ashamed, like Susan Sarandon and Rocky Horror. They should be very proud of this one. It's so interesting. It's so well done. It's in beautiful countryside. Absolutely. If you are a vampire movie fan and you have not seen this, you need to watch it just to say that you have, so that if you're ever sitting around with other vampire movie fans and this movie is brought up, you can say, oh yes, I've seen that one. I did it all in one take. I'm going to have to edit out just a couple little things. For those of you listening on the podcast, you're not going to hear my mistakes because I'm going to edit it out. But if you go to YouTube and watch the video, then you'll get to see exactly what happened. However, like I said, waited to the last minute. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and get this stuff edited so that you lovely, lovely people can get it when it's due at midnight. I don't like letting people down, so I would like to get this uploaded by midnight because I've made promises and people are waiting for this. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I hope everybody is warm and happy and their bellies are full and they feel loved. And I wish you wicked hugs and bloody kisses. Good evening. Okay, I did it. Other than just the collar, which was completely my fault. It wasn't even Juliet's fault. Other than the collar and stumbling over, what word did I stumble over? I don't even remember. And then trying to call Lady Sylvia Lady Elaine. But if those are the only mistakes I made, then I'll take it. I love you, YouTube, but I'm going to wrap this up as well because it's actually the YouTube video that takes forever to edit. The podcast is quick and easy. It'll be uploaded in 5 minutes. I just have to cut out the mistakes and then slap some music on there, get it uploaded. It's this one that's going to take some time. So I need to wrap this up, but again, I hope you're all very happy. I love that you're watching this. Please let me know in the comments down below if there's movies you want to see, if you love seeing all my mistakes, or you wish I would edit the video like I edit the podcast. Let me know, but I do have to go. I would love to stay here and talk to you guys. Still, you look so good, but I'm sorry. I have to get some work done, but maybe we'll have some more fun next week. All right, bye. Mwah.